Hey everybody, Larry Sorensen here, and welcome to Badger CrossFit. Today we're going to sit down and talk with Tina Hartwick and find out what makes her an autumn athlete that's not done yet. Tina, thanks so much for joining us. Let's kick this thing off right away with your bio basics.
Awesome. Thanks, Larry. Thanks for interviewing me and being a part of this. So again, my name is Tina Hartwick. I am 37 years old. I'll be 38 in 2 months. And I was born in Hubertus, Wisconsin. Currently reside in Milwaukee, Wauwatosa area. I am 6 feet and 165 pounds. I am married to my husband Ross, and we have an awesome dog, a mutt named Kona. My job is a career head coach for CrossFit. I have my level 2 with that. I'm also a 200-hour certified yoga teacher. I own my own side business called Resilient Coaching and Retreats, and I'm also a Voila Level 1 practitioner. You can follow me on social media. Tina Martin 4 is my main handle for Instagram.
Tell us about your fitness background.
I started soccer at the age of 6 and played that for 10 years. Always loved it. My parents were really supportive, and I just wanted to keep doing it. And I found that helped me with the coordination piece. I was always too tall for gymnastics, things like that, and just started to make me really love being active. Then got into basketball next, then track and volleyball. And it was always just wanting to get better was my biggest motivation. And when I was a sophomore in high school, things really started to click. And my high school coach had mentioned, if you keep this up, you could go to college on scholarship. And then much later in life, I was probably in my 20s, my parents said, yeah, we didn't think you were going to be very good. Like watching you at 6 years old, your feet were going one way, your arms going the other, like there was no coordination whatsoever. So they were pretty shocked by the level of play that I was able to get to.
Mm-hmm. After high school, where did you go with your athletic career from there?
So I played at a 4-year university, South Dakota State, and we were technically independent, working our way to D1 at that point. So was kind of in limbo the first couple years, and it wasn't until my junior year that we were actually eligible to make it to the NCAA tournament as D1. We did that my senior year, which is awesome. And then I ended up coaching at Washington State because we had such an awesome year. My head coach had gotten the job out there, and he asked me to come out and work with him. So I did that for a season, and then played overseas. So I'd actually gotten the call to play overseas right after I signed the contract to work for him, and I didn't want to screw him over his very first season at a big, at that time, Pac-10 school. So I put playing overseas on hold for that year. And then I played in Kuusamo, Finland, way up by the Arctic Circle, and Benidorm, Spain, about 6 hours south of Barcelona. Then I actually came back and did another season with him. And at that point, I just kind of volunteered as I was figuring out my next steps. And then came back, and since 2011 have been doing fitness training, doing all kinds of fitness training, smaller boutique style, TRX, kettlebells, body weight, all the way to now CrossFit style.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing from a coaching aspect as part of your fitness journey.
Yeah, so with what I do in the CrossFit world, it's rare to have a salaried position. So I do consider myself lucky to be at a big gym that has the ability to do that. So I am full-time here, leading quite a few group classes, and then I do a lot of one-on-one training, 2-on-1 training. That's probably actually become more of my training. So I'm actually to the point now where might have to waitlist people or turn them away, which I never thought I would get to with one-on-one. And then I do yoga here once a week as well. And then I have a life coaching certification, which was never my intention, but I started to find early on in the fitness coaching that people find that relationship with you, they get comfortable, and then they tell you everything about their lives. And I'm like, what do I do with this information? I am not qualified, and didn't want to go the therapy route. I don't want to spend all this money on schooling. That would be such a small piece of my job that it just didn't make sense. And then life coaching was a way to just ask better questions, further help people outside of just being a listening ear and empathetic.
Sure. Did you have any setbacks along the way during your fitness journey?
Yeah, so my senior year of college, right at the start of the season, my then boyfriend had gotten in a traumatic accident, had a brain injury, in a coma for a week, and actually 3 days into him being in the coma, my grandma passed away back home in Wisconsin. And grieving that, it's like you just had to move on because it's with what was happening in the hospital. Didn't really have time for grandma, which was unfortunate. He passed away a week after being there. I missed the first tournament with my team, and like I mentioned earlier, this was our year. Like, this was the chance for us to make the Division I tournament, not only just for volleyball, but our entire school. So we were pegged to be the first team to hit that milestone. So I just kind of hit the ground running, and I was a captain, leader on the team, and at that point there just wasn't the time to grieve, if you will. It's just like, be strong, keep moving forward. You know, looking back, was that the best way to deal with it? No, but that's what I knew. So that was one big one, I would say, and that stuck with me for a lot of years. And then other than that, I did pull an ab, and I think it was partially because of all that stuff during that time, and fought through that a little bit in the beginning of season, but then that healed and was fine. You know, that was 2007. Since then, really only recently, I had a little bit of a shoulder issue for about 6 months, but other than that, things are fine.
Tell us about some of your personal best achievements.
In high school, I was on the 4x200 meter team, and we set a school record for that. Went to state, took second. That has actually just been broken this year. And then for college, I'm still the all-time kills leader at South Dakota State, almost 16 years later, with 1,725. For CrossFit, to get to the games, there's the open is the first stage. And then from there, it goes to the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and then the actual big show in currently Madison, but it does move. So I was in the top 3% this last year, which has been my best finish. And now that I'm in the 35 to 39 age group, that's a whole nother category. But one of the things I am proud of is the individual group is the 18 to 34 year olds. And even though I'm almost 38, I've qualified for that group. Okay. So I'm still able to compete with people 3 to 20 years younger than me and have improved each year. So at this point, I thought, I'll probably do worse because I'm getting older, they're younger. Yeah. So just showing that like age doesn't matter. Keep moving through it. And then I finished 184th worldwide in the quarterfinals for my age group this year.
What are your current goals and or pending events that you have coming up?
So current goals with CrossFit, there is 2 competitions that I'm planning to do yet this year. The first one is in September. It's called the Big Impact Championships up in the Appleton area. So this will be my 3rd year doing it. Again, as I've stated, with competing with people a lot younger than me. The last couple of years I've done the RX is what it's called, where it's working with the individuals that are younger. And I thought, this year, why don't I just do the Masters? And, I'm still able to hang with them, but let's see if I can podium, if you will. So I'm doing that actually with one of my friends from South Dakota State. I was the lefty volleyball player, she was the lefty basketball player, and she's the assistant coach at UW Green Bay for basketball. So we're gonna do that together, which will be awesome to get the Jacks back together. And then in late August, September, I have a qualifier for, it's called the Legends Championship. And it changes locations every year, but it is specifically for athletes 35 plus. And it goes in 5-year increments all the way up to 80. And it basically puts older athletes in the spotlight, knowing that CrossFit in general, and all anybody cares about is the 18 to 34-year-old group. So it's a really well done competition. So it's a 22-day qualifier. I'm not doing 22 workouts, I think it's 6. And then if I were to make the top, I think 20, then I would move on to the qualifier. So 2 years ago I did qualify and went to San Diego for it. Last year, shoulder injury, did not. So we'll see how to go this year.
So would you have done anything differently regarding your health and fitness?
In terms of my career for volleyball, I wouldn't have started that any younger. In other people's eyes, I probably should have, just in terms of if I wanted to make a bigger D1 school. And with that, I could have, but I didn't want to sit the bench. So for me, South Dakota State, still D1, we still played big schools. We played Nebraska, the first round of the NCAA tournament. But I wanted to play. I didn't want to sit the bench, and I started all 4 years. So yeah, I maybe could have started club in 7th and 8th grade, but some of my high school teammates that did that and played first sting in 7th grade, their knees were shot. They didn't like the sport that much anymore. They still went to college because they got it paid for, but
Yeah.
I loved it the whole time I played. So it's kind of that like, what if would have happened if I would have started sooner instead of starting club my sophomore year of high school at a very tiny club. We'd barely even traveled.
Yeah.
Then after that, my coach was like, you can make it, but you got to be seen. So you got to work for a bigger club. So then that made me get into Wisconsin Power at that time in my junior and senior year. Weightlifting, I started at 15, and that I would not change. Now enjoying the CrossFit style, I would have started that earlier.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what is your current training regimen now?
So currently, I would say on average, I work out anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week. Probably more like 4 to 5 is the sweet spot. Usually an hour or less. Some days I may have a little bit more time and do a little bit more, but the volume piece, in my opinion, just isn't necessary. And it may help me progress more in the sport now, but I am a future thinker and I don't want to beat myself up to where my body's shot by the time I get to be
Sure.
a bit older.
What's your favorite training exercise?
In terms of lifting, I absolutely love split jerks, cleans, and deadlifts would be my favorites. And then volleyball is just, that was my favorite sport.
Tell us about your approach to diet and nutrition.
I follow 80-20, 90-10, 80 to 90% whole quality foods, as natural as you can find them, and then 10 to 20%, depending on the season of the year, the life, of indulging, if you will, or allowing myself to go out to eat on the weekends or have a drink here and there. And I've never been somebody to track. I think that even if you aren't obsessive about it or have any eating disorder tendencies, it just doesn't put you in a good mindset. And most people that track macros, it's just not a lifestyle. So my biggest thing is lifestyle. It has to fit lifestyle. You know, there's times for quote unquote diets or fads in a way, but I just don't believe that. So like I'm not a big protein shake person or protein bars. I mean, a lot of them have a lot of extra crap in it, even if they say they're great. So much sugar too. So just making good quality meals. We cook like 90% of our meals really. And then staying hydrated, getting enough sleep. You wouldn't think of it as part of your nutrition, but I mean, that's all,
Absolutely.
all part of it for sure.
When you do indulge, what's your favorite cheat meal or dessert?
I would say some type of cake, whether it's like a cupcake or a piece of cake, candy. And the interesting thing is, unlike most women, I don't really care for chocolate. Like it's gonna be like Nerds or Starburst or that kind of stuff.
As one of my younger autumn athletes, what is it that motivates you to be an autumn athlete and pursue that lifestyle?
It is interesting. I think about that from time to time, that yes, the college scholarship carrot was dangled in front of me, you know, once I hit sophomore year, but I think back and like, how was I so motivated to play soccer all those years? In high school, I literally played 3 sports year round. And I just look back and I think like, why, you know? And I think it was just the hunger to get better, just knowing that there's the ability to improve. I'm not doing it for anybody. I'm not trying to please my parents. I'm not trying to be the best person on the team. I just truly saw what my body and my mind was capable of, and that just motivated the heck out of me.
What's your secret sauce?
I would say, you know, talking to your body the way, you know, you would talk to a friend. And I think with females in general, they are too hard on themselves. They beat themselves up. You know, the cheat thing, like you mentioned, the cheat treat. I've never had a treat and thought, oh, I gotta go do exercise to work this off, or like feel bad about it. It's like, no, eat the damn cake. Making time for yourself. And yes, I work in a gym. And so, you know, I've had comments from people before that say, well, you work at a gym, so it's easy for you. It's like, no, some days I am with back to back clients. The last thing that I want to do in a hot, non-air conditioned gym is work out. But it is part of my lifestyle. I literally will put it on my calendar like anything else. Because like anybody, life gets busy. It's usually the first thing that people cut out. but is one of the most important, in my opinion, as we age.
Tina, this has been great to hear what makes you an Autumn athlete that's not done yet. We know that you're going to continue to do great things as you do progress into your Autumn years. And you talked a little bit about coaching before, but I just kind of want to also ask you, because to me, again, for all the Autumn athletes out there, Tina is on the younger side, but she's also coaching people and creating lifestyles for others, which I think is still part of being an Autumn athlete that's not done yet. Whether you're just doing it yourself, you're motivating others, which is what this whole thing is about for me, or you're training people to get back into it or do whatever it is they need to do to improve themselves in their fitness journey. So, you know, maybe just tell us a little bit about what the coaching aspect means to you.
You know, for me, I do train people as young as 10, and my oldest client is about to be 76. And it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but seeing people in different seasons of their life, first and foremost, the capabilities as we age, and just the ability to defy stereotypes in all of those pieces. The mom who, you know, one of our moms, she's had her 4th kid, and she worked as late into her pregnancies as she could. Some of them she had to quit earlier because of nausea or whatever it may be. Some of them she worked up until the day or two before she had the kid, and then made it a priority to get herself back in the gym. And that's just so inspiring, you know, whereas the typical stereotype is like, she's a mom, you got to give everything to your kids, lose yourself in the process. And then working people that have really busy schedules, it's just awesome to be a part of that journey with them and see so many people just defying the odds or the stereotypes of what their fitness should look like, or how little or how much they should be doing it.
Awesome. Tina, this has been great to connect with you. Full disclosure, I've known Tina from beach volleyball, but I want to thank you for joining us, for sure, letting us know what makes you an Autumn athlete that's not done yet. I want to close with just giving you the floor for any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our audience.
Yeah, so I used to be a Lululemon ambassador, and they asked us for what is your tagline or your quote, and that really made me think. And you know, everybody's heard the quote, aim higher and dream bigger. But I've added ... It's not just for kids. And I just feel like people lose their spark as they age, as we get done with the main milestones. Once you become a working adult, it's just kind of like, well, now here's the grind, and you don't find time for yourself anymore. And I just think that that doesn't have to be true. That doesn't have to be your narrative. I think a lot of times we can become jaded, we lose our sparkle, and why can't we dream and be like kids? You know, I just think that's important, and the negativity does affect us. So it's trying to find ways to be positive. You know, like I said prior, I've had some pretty traumatic things happen in my life, and I could have chose to be a victim or looked at life in a negative light, and I just was like, that's just not the way I'm gonna live. Tomorrow's not promised.
Tina Hartwick, everyone, an Autumn athlete that is definitely not done yet. Please remember to like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications, and we will see you next time.